Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it is there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? So, welcome to Dharma Day. Dharma Day is one of the 3 most important festivals in the Buddhist calendar. And as most of you would know, I would imagine, is that Dharma means the teachings, the Dharma means the path to liberation. The other 2 festivals is the festival of the Buddha, the enlightened one, the ideal of enlightenment, not just the historical person, but the ideal that we aspire to, our own potential. And the other is the Sangha festival, which is the spiritual community, the supportive conditions, and as well the embodiment of the practice towards our ideals. And this Dharma Day, it's the Dharma jewel is blue, is the color blue. So that's why it's down there. The blue is around there. And this is the year of Amitabha. So that's the red there. And and as Acharya has said, I'm a kind of creative. And I think what that means, at least for me, is I think very much on images and metaphors. So most of my effort is actually trying to phrase what I see in images. So when we were talking about what we would do in this festival, I think, as she said, it was a day before the elections, and things weren't looking clear. And so I guessed, and it's important for me that my Dharma practice is relevant for wherever I am, whatever is happening. So it was important for us actually to make sure that the Dharma is actually, because we know that it's relevant, so make it explicitly relevant. So that's why we come up with this image of the strong for the many, half blue, half red. And basically, the talk is about me explaining to you like the whole thing that you see behind me. I feel like I'm talking out or from an image. Okay, so on the subtitle, or what I'm trying to move myself around, it's how do our Buddhist practice helps us being strong and stable for the benefit of all beings. So okay, back to the word Dharma. Dharma means reality, could mean phenomena, could mean reality, existence, it all. But as well, it represents the path of freedom. So, and that is one of the characteristics of the Dharma. That is, it takes you to freedom. And that's one of the connections with why the Dharma jewel is blue, because it's blue as the ocean. It is deep, it's gradually deeper as you get into it, as the ocean. It contains big and weighty creatures, the spiritually developed. And its taste, as the ocean has the taste of salt, the Dharma has the taste of freedom. So freedom and reality are reality or truth is a kind of important words that I'm exploring. So the quote that I started with, I don't know if many of you recognized it, is from The Matrix. And this is Morpheus it's just before he offers Neo the pill that would take him to reality, or to go back to sleep and live in the fantasy that he's in. So it's just before he gives the option of truth or ignorance. As one of the other characters says, another point, he realizes that ignorance is bliss once he realizes. And I might go back to it. So anyway, so then there's this word, truth. What is truth? What is reality? And there's different ways that we can try to approach this question. But the way that I'll try to get at it, it's more like what stops us from seeing reality, what stops us from seeing the truth. This reminds me of the very, very famous verses of the Dhammapada. This is, and I've got it here, the Dhammapada, which is one of the most important, or is the most printed and translated in most languages Dharma book ever. So it's very, very well known. And it starts saying, the first two verses are experiences preceded by mind, led by mind, produced by mind. So what this first phrase actually was pointing out is the mind is primary. What it's saying is that our mind somehow colors our experience. That we don't see the world directly, we see it through our own eyes, through our own senses, through our own expectations, through our own experience and backgrounds. And this is where another area of blue comes in, because in a way there's like two characters as well that I've got in my mind in this talk. One is Akshobhya, which is of blue colored, and he represents the embodiment of unshakability. His name means the unshakable. It represents utter unshakability. Maybe equanimity, groundedness. And one of the characteristics, these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they represent the different characteristics of the enlightened mind. So you drop a characteristic and then you embody it. They take a persona. In a way, and as they represent somehow our own potential, what we can be. So as we explore these figures, we should ask ourselves, like, what is this figure is telling me that I can be more of or more like. So one of the qualities of Akshobhya, or its wisdom, is the mirror-like wisdom. Akshobhya is very important to me. This is, I think, the first Bodhisattva I read about. Somehow they had this chapter translated on Akshobhya, and it was just called the Blue Buddha in a website of free Buddhist books in Spanish. Then later I discovered that it was actually a Triratna Valencia center. But anyway, they just kind of translated this chapter and they just had the Blue Buddha. I thought, oh, that's weird. Why is the Blue Buddha? And I remember reading the impact that had in my mind when Vesantra talks about how is the mirror-like wisdom. And he gives the example of, he said, well, if you stand in front of a mirror with a flower, red, actually it's funny, we have red flowers, of deep red in one hand, and in the other you've got a knife dripping with blood of the same shade. The mirror reflects them in the exact same way. It doesn't doesn't get drawn or amplifies the rose and just distorts the knife. And actually, I saw some of the responses from you, like as I was reading it, when I read the knife, I was like, rose, oh, that's really nice. No? And then you read the knife and you're like, whoa, I thought this is a Buddhist book or something. Why is knives and blood? So already I had a response as I was reading it, and a physical response. And I saw some physical responses from you as I was saying a knife with blood. So a mirror-like wisdom is just like, it just reflects what is there. If you, perhaps maybe without a judgment, an interpretation of what's been presented. Mm-hmm. So this reminds me a bit of the qualities of mindfulness. That's why we Buddhists meditate. This mindfulness is the quality of, by held attention, we direct our awareness to what is happening. We try to do it without judgment and with kindness. And we try to hold it. And this is one of the symbols. One of the symbols for reality is a vajra, which I've got here. There's a few in the shrine, and there's the vajra in the poster. So, and Akshobhya kind of holds reality. So in a way, that's what we is what from awareness, from holding what is happening, or with awareness, a held experience, holding reality. That's the place from which touches the air and grounds himself. So it's this holding reality, and what reality is. We must see it directly. So one of the things that we develop when we become mindful, we develop awareness, is that we become aware of our mind, our own processes, but as well you become aware of the environment of where you are, how your environment affects your mind. Even when you're meditating as well, just your body. How does your body affect your mind? So if you've got a stable posture, the mind can rest, can be stable. If you have an uncomfortable position, that would affect your mind inevitably. So in a way, it is kind of a part of a task through meditation. One of the things is this raising awareness, experiencing or facing reality. So I want to explore how can that give. Curious of that, how would it look like? It's a question like, how does awareness makes you unshakable, makes you strong and stable? One of the examples that once was given to me is that as like kind of mindfulness. If our awareness is small, it can contain less. So this person, I should have brought tools for that, but if I'm going to talk about it, but if you put if your awareness is a little glass, and its content is water, when conflicts and things happen, it doesn't take much for the water to spill all over the place. But if you have a bigger container, the same amount of water, it won't spill. In fact, it could contain even more. So we try to. The other example it came to my mind is about not resisting reality. Is that when you're on a tram or a train, or even more radically a bus, and if you're standing up, if you're just kind of somehow self-aware of your body, not enough aware of where you are, you might resist. You would resist change or movement, and you just kind of be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be strong and stable here, ignoring everything else. You've been thrown around. Actually, you'll fall. It's something like, this is a good example because it's something that we don't think about sometimes. You're just in a bus, and your brain knows what to do, so you kind of relax your knees a bit. You know that it's going to move, So you kind of need to be ready to respond for what is kind of coming. So somehow is this kind of quality of relaxed and through being aware of where you are, and just you don't need just much energy. It's not it's not grounding yourself with force. It's just by simple, kind, gentle awareness. Is that you can just stand, right? And it comes with practice as well. When you see when people get on a tube or a train for first time, they can thrown around quite a bit more easier than an experienced commuter. So yeah, relaxing tensions with a wide awareness, we can hold a lot more. Which this sometimes could be counterintuitive. Actually, it's like, oh no, I don't want to be aware. I just kind of do my own little thing. Let's just focus on my body and my posture, and I'll be all right. It's like that is good, but it won't get you all the way there. So we need to kind of be wide aware of the world, its processes, where we stand in it, and to not be thrown around or by pleasure, pain, praise, blame, gain, loss, fame, or shame. Mm-hmm. So we need to, that's this back to the mirror-like wisdom. It's I think the opposite of the mirror-like wisdom. The other image that we use is like, so if we don't see the world, we don't reflect, or we don't see it exactly as it is, how do we see it? We see it through our own lenses. Actually, this is a word. I should have brought colored lenses. Actually, I've got blue color lenses. They're kind of round. So it's more like we look at the world through our lenses. And so an enlightened being it would have got rid of these lenses. And what these lenses, the color of these lenses are the colors of greed, of hatred, of delusion, or ignorance. So, in a way, we need to get rid of these lenses. So, again, to try to get a bit more practical, how would that look like? How would it look to get rid of how would it look to see the Four Noble Truths, for instance, without these lenses of greed, hatred, and delusion? So these Four Noble Truths, which I picked this list because it has the word truths, and we're trying to explore the truth or reality. So this is a very well-known list, because what you will know about it is the existence of suffering, that the suffering that there's causes for suffering, that there is a cessation of suffering, or nirvana, enlightenment, and there is a path of liberation from suffering. So how would it look the truth of suffering without aversion, without me, I don't want to experience this pain? How would it look like without wanting, the greed? How would it be suffering without wanting to be somehow else in another way? Now, with ignorance, how would it be to see suffering with full knowledge of the consequences of this, and that the fact that is impermanent? And I think we could try to reflect on that with all the truths in a way. How would this be? How would I see this truth without these lenses? How truthful is it? It's something about reality that we're coming back of this symbol of reality, this image of reality. As I said, this is called Vajra, and this is sometimes called a Diamond Thunderball. it kind of represents the power, even the destructive power of reality and truth. And it's an image I love, because sometimes you would think that maybe Buddhism wouldn't talk about destruction or power. They feel like loaded words. So I want to explore that. Like, well, they feel kind of quite, big words. And so is this that that reality can change our perspective? It is the it would have an effect in our actions, etc. I'll go back to that. So in a way, if we step into a bit more, if we would be more aligned to reality, this would take us to respond in different ways. Those would take to different ways than the ones that we're probably habituated to. This is what Sanghadhara, I think it talked to. It was referring with reactive mind and creative mind. So reactive, if you see, maybe back to the Four Noble Truths. If you see suffering, the existence of suffering with hatred, like, I don't want that experience, or with greed, I want a different experience. I want pleasure. I want gain. Then how reality would. I'm losing my thread. So it's this is what he means by reactive. This is just kind of reactive way. It's just kind of greed or hatred, right? A creative way would mean like being aware with just kind of this wider awareness of what is happening. Is like, I'm looking at this through the lenses of hatred, through the lenses of greed. So the creative thing would just kind of try to see. Well, maybe to start with, to acknowledge that you're seeing it through these lenses, and take a decision. So something that happens with awareness is that what you become aware of, that's another phrase from somewhere, what you become aware of, you become responsible of. So it's something about what you become aware of. You cannot but have a moral, almost kind of duty to it. This reminds me of I'll try to read this other quote from The Matrix. This is at the end of the film. Neo it's a message for the enemy. Okay? So, I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you, a world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I'll leave to you. So far I've been talking about awareness in this kind of meditation area that is important in Buddhism. Now we're stepping into the realm of ethics, of choices. And this area is based on the fact that actions have consequences. It's the area of karma. And it is acknowledging that we can change, that we ourselves can change, that we can help others to change, and that we together can change the world. So it's change, it's growth. the possibility of growth. And this is the second symbol on the poster, and now we're moving to the red part of the poster, which the lotus, that's what represents change, represents growth. The growth from the deep and dirty mud up to the light. And the lotus has this other quality of being white and pure, and like it has that unsticky quality. Like the mud doesn't stick to it. It has some impermeable quality to the rose, to the petals. So the mud doesn't stick to it. It just kind of goes. And so that is a symbol that Amitabha as well is holding. He's holding a lotus. More of that through the day today. And and this is a constant practice. Every moment is a moment of action. There's no moment where we're inactive, and by any action there is a choice to some level. This reminds me of, again, the Matrix. It's just I think. Neo, the main character, get asked, like, do you believe in fate? And he said, no, because I don't like to believe. I refuse to believe that I'm not in control of my own life. And then it's the first quote that I said. But it's like we do have, and I think in Buddhism that's what we talk about. Actually, there is no fate. There is no. There is no other beings, other people. There's no other gods for you to blame, for you to kind of depend on. It's like within it all, there is a level of responsibility, and it's down to you. So it is a constant process of transformation, in a way. We need to explore how to be more like blank, unshakable, more wise, more compassionate, to move towards something, to leave something behind, to be free from stuff. So I'm not giving particular examples because I think there's many different ways that we're moving from or towards, and that this movement as well can be scary. Can be challenging, because we know we're creatures of habit as well. So I think sometimes that's why we need these tools, these things that help us to break through the habitual tendencies, and to recognize. So we need something powerful. We need to trust that the truth is worth embracing. Change. So change can appear to be frightening. It can be frightening, but at the same time, it could be very delightful. It could be very joyous. So this is why we put this. The Buddha that you see there is an Amitabha in process, and this was an excellent idea. I don't know if it was Roman's idea of where it came from, but it was a lot of sensationalist newspapers being shredded and to take a form of the embodiment of compassion. So it's this project of transforming hatred into compassion, and it's not finished; it's still in process. But I think I just took it from down there because I think it's important to remember that it's a constant process. Actually, it is a transformation process. It is. I was talking to Charashrat as well earlier, and sometimes our responses to that paper I was thinking yesterday, I can't believe I would never thought I would have put some Daily Mail on a shrine. So that's interesting because she was reflecting back, I've got such a strong response, aversion to these papers. So it's like, why are they doing that? And they're pinned down by factors, by reality. So don't worry, they're tamed. And they've been transformed. And somehow this as well could represent something about us or from us, from within us. Mm-hmm. So, okay, with awareness of our actions and awareness of our environment, one of the things that happens with awareness of our mind and our hearts, we cannot help but recognize these areas in others. We cannot help but recognize not just our suffering, but the suffering in others. And I think the differences between each other start to be less obvious, or maybe more of you might get a clearer sense of how this might be a delusion. And someone recently, after the bomb here in Manchester, it was an amazing response of people just responding to, as a community, the sense of pride that emerged after the shock and the pain of the loss, actually. But I think I saw this somewhere, or someone saying that we have more in common than what divides us. This whole I Love Manchester campaign, or movement, or I don't know how to call it, this phenomenon, this Dharma of people noticing the suffering close to home, right in the city centre. I was like right in the centre of ourselves. We cannot but see and recognize suffering. And what happened is that people responded. One of the words for karuna, which is compassion, one of the translations, is like trembling with. So it's shaken with, be shaken with. So, if you're not strong and stable, or something kind of shakes you, if you've been shaken with others, the obvious response, the natural response, is compassion. So you saw these hashtags as well going around of like, we stand together. Now this will not divide us. Or choose love. I think that was all around in the concert a few weeks later. Mm-hmm. So that is the constant decision that we shall choose love, compassion, empathy, sympathy. And why is that? And I think the profile picture at the moment of the Manchester Buddhist Centre website, Facebook page, has this quote of hatred has never stopped hatred. Only love stops hate. This is the eternal law. So now this is the truth. That's why I'm picking this up. So expressing the truth, the Dharma. Hatred has never stopped hatred. Only love stops hate. This is the eternal law. So compassion and love is one of the other quality of the enlightened mind. It's another practice, and that is, in a way, compassion and love is an expression of wisdom. So, and Amitabha embodies this. And he is red of color and radiates with metta, with love. So just to finish a little bit the talk, I have said quite a lot of things. Now I started talking about meditation, raising awareness as a way of embracing reality, embracing the truth, and that could make us unshakable. then a bit about the choices that we have. This is the realm of ethics. This long tradition of precepts, etc., that can guide our behavior in accordance with reality, and wisdom. Some of the aspects in which wisdom, I talked about the mirror-like wisdom, and how a wise response, or the response from a wise person to suffering, it is compassion and it is love. So I'm going to finish with another quote from another film that is currently on cinemas. And yeah. I used to want to save the world, to end war and bring peace to mankind. But then I glimpsed the darkness that lives within their light. I learned that inside every one of them, there will always be both. The choice each must make for themselves, something no hero will ever defeat. And now I know that only love can truly save the world. So I stay, I fight, and I give for the world I know can be. This is my mission now, forever.